Another revelation that I had was literally earlier this morning when I was waking up out of a dream, and I have the gift of dream interpretation. So in the dream, there was a person that was a younger person that reminded me of something or someone in my waking life. And we were inside of a theater, and it was a dark theater. I couldn't really see a lot except there was like the lighting from the stage or the screen. And we were talking, and like, see, I can't remember all the details, but I remember the gist of the dream. And in at some point in the dream, she looks at me and like it's like I'm above her, and she's smiling. She's like, "I've been waiting to say this for a long time," and then we kiss, and we separate. She disappears, and now I'm back in the theater, but we never really left the theater. It was almost like sectional. And I'm sitting down, and I'm like sitting next to somebody that felt familiar, but I didn't recognize him because I'd never seen him in my waking life either. And we're talking, and then like I get up because I can feel her presence behind a curtain. And so I walk over to the curtain, and I notice her shoes, and I open the curtain, and she's smiling at me. And I recognize the spirit in the eyes. And so then the dream fades out, and I wake up. But the actual younger person, like when I woke up, I knew that that was a representation of an integration of my younger self, like coming to terms with things that I had been separated from when I had been in a toxic, abusive relationship. And what happened subsequently after I started the road to recovery and the road to becoming acquainted with the woman that I see in the mirror every day, like coming back into my body, like not being the Ebenezer Scrooge um, phenomena where I was like sort of just like hovering over a body and being detached from almost a decade of experiences, just like passing through life but not registering anything, not being aware, because I was spiritually fragmented from the things that I had gone through. So the dream was basically confirmation that I had reintegrated all of those aspects of myself that had been detached into the person that I had been cut off from, like the person that had all of this hope and potential and energy and this vision in my youth, and like how I remembered connection and the ability to feel in all of those things. And so the theater was very dark because these are things that have not been revealed yet, like all of the things that are to come, but I can actually sense them very much in my waking life when I'm moving and walking through life, because I get the inklings and the sensations, and I feel them. I know that I am here, and I am in sync with that. And it's a beautiful thing because I will tell you from my personal experience, like walking through life and being disconnected and not remembering anything. And granted, the fact that I also did that under the influence mostly of alcohol, like I never remembered my life. I couldn't remember the day before. I couldn't remember like years of my life really, except for like the most either traumatic or sort of like it was like the extreme highs and lows, like, but there were so many gaps in between, and I stopped having the ability to remember people's names. It started becoming an issue too because I was starting to forget people's faces, and even people that I'd known for years, all of a sudden I would draw a blank. I couldn't remember their names, and I was so spiritually empty, but I was also being ministered to. And I say this a lot because I was in the New Age practices for over 20 years. When I was in high school, we had a group of girls, like some of them identified as vampires, and some of them, like, like we had all of these different types of like rituals. Some of them actually like would actually drink blood. And I remember like believing in white witchcraft and dark witchcraft and like candle magic and all the rituals and things like that. So I was very much, because like I had gotten indoctrinated into that, because when you have spiritual gifts and you don't really understand, because they don't teach you that in the church. And when I was a teenager, I would go to the church because I liked food. So like, I think it was like Tuesday, Wednesdays afternoon, I would skateboard down to the church and I would eat their food and I'd play some of their games and then I would leave. And so I didn't have any sort of spiritual mentoring. And so the only way that I could explain it, by the time I became 14, like I started looking at Lao Tzu, Buddhism, a lot of Eastern philosophy. So I had like a pish posh of everything in there, and a little bit of Jesus in there too. Those things don't coexist. And I had never really read the Bible. I found it to be really boring. I didn't have the spiritual eyes and ears to actually do that. And then when I got to college, the Christian groups would come to me and they would invite me to their Bible study, because I always had a really good heart. And they could see that about me, that I had like this purity about me. And so I would go to their Bible study groups, and I would cause such an uproar because I would question everything and I didn't understand. And they would read things, there were scriptures that they would read out and they looked so foreign to me at the time. And I would be like, no, this isn't it. And so they would never invite me back. And then I fell into like extreme darkness. I had this situation where I met this woman that was a little bit older than me, and she was living a very dark lifestyle. She was addicted to some really heavy drugs. She did some schmeck work and all of that, and just crazy. So my life like went downhill, and she had done some things while I was sleeping. Like she injected me with some stuff, and I remember having this big old bruise on my arm, and I was like, what the hell? And there was like dry blood on it. Thank God, like I survived a lot of the stuff. Like it's just a gist of like the craziness that from 23 on, like especially after my mother had passed away at the ripe young age of 39 years old. So I was in some heavy darkness, but I got married, and I was in like this like crazy, dark, sinister, like I couldn't dream anymore, like spiritually draining marriage and relationship. And then I got spit out and sent off to the wolves. But in that time, God knew to get me, because I did actually ask for God to work on me. I forgot that I had asked for that back in like I think around 2008. So when it came time in 2019, at the tail end of 2019, it was around this time of year, it was in December, and I was out there, I was partying. I had been, my nose wasn't that clean, and I was walking home, like like the walk of shame. And I had all my crystals. I always had an altar too. That's the other thing. Like, and these people always, they think I don't know, like read all the books and everything. I've been everywhere, and like I ended up being led back to Yeshua, which I'm so grateful for. Like, it's like you gotta understand. That's why I don't like, if like whatever you believe in, like I don't tell people like what to believe in, because I know for me, like a spiritual journey is very personal. So you get to where you need to get when you get there. But I got called and pulled like right before 2020, and then like I was still in the occult practices up until I think about the end of 2022, because I didn't understand. But I started reading the Bible. Like I downloaded this Bible app, and I started learning things, and like it hit my spirit, and so things started falling away from me, because I wanted to honor Yahweh. I didn't want to do anything that was not of him. And so then with the addiction thing, he was like, because I asked about that too. And yesterday, one of my coworkers, she's so sweet, she's adorable. She's like, oh, I don't want you to relapse. But she doesn't understand this, because it's not that I'm going to relapse. It's not something that is a work that I'm committing on my own behalf. This I was delivered from. I actually saw the demon, the physical manifestation of the demon in my place that I live in now, when God was ready to deliver me from the alcohol and all that. So yeah, it's great. I'm so excited for 2026. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, which is engraved on my cross. But I fall short of the glory every single day, but God knows that I'm imperfect. That's why I lean on him. And so I do like to share a little bit of my story, because people come and like, some people are going to miss the point or whatever, but I know what was ministered to me, and that's the God that I serve and I am obedient to. You guys have a wonderful weekend.